Welcome. Today, I would like to talk about a very important concept in psychology that is often misunderstood: acceptance. Human beings naturally try to avoid pain and unpleasant experiences. This is a normal psychological defense mechanism. Our minds are designed to protect us from emotional discomfort. However, modern psychological research shows that trying to escape or deny painful realities can sometimes increase psychological suffering instead of reducing it. There are certain realities in life that simply cannot be changed, and this is where the concept of acceptance becomes essential. Acceptance is one of the most important foundations of psychological resilience. How psychological burdens form. Many of the emotional difficulties people experience are not caused only by the events themselves, but by the resistance we create in our minds toward those events. For example, when we experience a personal loss, a failure, a disappointment, or an unexpected life situation, our minds often begin repeating certain thoughts such as, "This should not have happened. I should have done something differently. Why did this happen to me?" At first, these thoughts may seem normal and understandable. But when they continue for a long time, the mind begins to carry a psychological burden. In psychology, this process is often referred to as rumination, which means repeatedly thinking about the same negative thoughts and experiences without reaching a resolution. Over time, this creates a heavy mental weight. Why resistance creates more suffering? When we refuse to accept reality, we are essentially fighting against something that has already happened. The event exists in reality, but our mind continues to argue that it should not exist. This creates a constant internal conflict. You can imagine it like this. Reality is flowing in one direction, but your mind keeps trying to swim in the opposite direction. This requires an enormous amount of mental and emotional energy. Eventually, a person becomes exhausted, not only because of the situation itself, but because of the constant internal struggle. What acceptance does not mean. Many people misunderstand the idea of acceptance, and they think acceptance means giving up, stopping the fight, becoming passive, or ignoring the problem. But from a psychological perspective, acceptance does not mean surrender. Acceptance means acknowledging reality. It means saying, "This has happened. This situation is part of my life now, and I can learn how to move forward with it." Acceptance is not about approving what happened. It is about stopping the fight with reality so that you can begin to move forward. The role of acceptance in modern psychology. In recent years, one of the most influential therapeutic approaches in psychology has been acceptance and commitment therapy, often referred to as ACT. This approach is based on a very important idea. Human beings cannot eliminate all negative emotions from life. Feelings such as sadness, anxiety, fear, and disappointment are natural parts of the human experience. However, when people stop fighting these emotions and instead learn to acknowledge and accept them, they often develop greater psychological flexibility. Psychological flexibility is one of the strongest indicators of mental well-being. It allows people to adapt, recover, and continue living meaningful lives even when difficulties arise. Why acceptance is liberating. Acceptance frees up mental energy. When people stop fighting reality, they are no longer trapped in endless questions like, "Why did this happen? What if things had been different? Can I undo the past?" Instead, their focus shifts toward a more constructive question: "What can I do now?" And this is where real psychological strength begins to emerge. Because while we cannot change the past, we still have the ability to shape the future. The strength required for acceptance. Contrary to what many people believe, acceptance is not weakness. In fact, acceptance requires courage. It means facing reality honestly. It means recognizing that some aspects of life are beyond our control. And it means continuing to live, grow, and move forward despite that reality. In psychological terms, acceptance is a sign of emotional maturity and inner strength. Final thoughts. Life does not always unfold according to our plans. There will be losses, there will be disappointments, there will be moments of uncertainty and pain, but human resilience is not defined by the absence of hardship. It is defined by how we respond to it. Acceptance does not erase pain, but it reduces the power that pain holds over us. And by letting go of the struggle against reality, we create the space needed to heal, adapt, and move forward. If you believe this message could help someone, consider sharing this video with a person who might need to hear it. Sometimes, the right words at the right moment can lighten the burden someone has been silently carrying. Thank you for listening.